Welcome back to the Movie Pope Podcast, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Naked Gun trailer, which is produced by a certain Seth Mcfarlane and starring someone who I seriously did not believe in 100 years could play Frank Drebin, let alone star in a comedy movie. Now, the last Naked Gun movie that came out was in 1994, and oddly enough, that was the movie where Frank Drebin, played by the late Leslie Nielsen, is introduced to his newborn son. So there are a lot of weird things that I'm trying to figure out here. But Lee, have you ever watched the Naked Gun movies, or have you ever seen them?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. seen a lot of the Naked Gun movies. Definitely a genre that had a lot of fun with. It's kind of wild to think that that's 30 years since the last one happened. So very interesting to see Liam Neeson playing the titular character, or the main character for this. So I'll be very curious to see if they can pull off kind of the the humor that came from that series.
Well, it kind of reminds me of when they had Steve Martin play Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther movies, because the way he did it, it was very earnest. It was very try hard. He was trying very, very hard to make it funny, whereas Peter Sellers was effortless, But let's see how Liam Neeson, tries his hand at playing Lieutenant Frank Drebin Jr.
Once you kill a man for revenge, there's no going back. A voice in your head sang over and over, "That was awesome."
Who are you?
Drebin, detective.
I should have laughed at that, but it was...
Thanks.
Police Squad has always been the elite of the elite.
Hi, Daddy. It's me, Frank Jr. Love you.
Hey, Dad. Boy, do I miss you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And you, Frank, are the best of the best.
I need a bathroom. I need this one immediately.
There's a line, man.
Police business. Oh, I'm gonna ruin another suit.
I can deal with that.
Lieutenant.
I think someone murdered
my brother.
Please, take a chair.
Thank you.
I'll find them. This is what I do. Says you served 20 years for man's laughter.
You mean manslaughter?
Must have been quite the joke.
They're going to shut down Police Squad if you do not solve this case.
For Halloween.
Show a little respect!
Why? Who's gonna arrest me? Other cops?
Yes.
Is she serious?
Is he serious?
No.
It
seems Mr. Drebin might be more of a problem than we thought. I want you to keep an eye on him.
This oven is disgusting.
Those very awesome powers, right?
Rest assured, I won't stop until I've found justice.
What do you want, little one?
Your ass. Nobody messes with Police Squad.
We've upgraded your car with the most advanced crime-fighting tech.
Drive forward 30 feet. Pretty smooth.
Oh!
This place is falling apart.
Oh my goodness gracious!
So the last Police Squad movie. Hold on, the last Police Squad movie was made in 1994, right? So assuming the movie is set around the same time, in 1994, and by the way, at the end of the movie, Jane gives birth to Frank Jr. So really, Frank Jr. should be about roughly around our age at this point. So it's a bit weird that Liam Neeson, who is either he's in his 60s or he's getting close to his 60s, is playing Frank Jr. in this case.
I feel like that's pretty much on brand for that type of. Why not? He could be 30 for all we know. they might even make a joke of him being only 30 years old.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there are a lot of 30-year-olds right now who look like they're in their 50s. So,
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he was 6 there for a second, and the little girl. So, I mean, that's you can never tell.
mhm. So, what are your thoughts on this? I guess rebooting of the Naked Gun.
So, I mean, I have I would say, mixed feelings about Seth MacFarlane. It could be kind of all over the map as far as where the quality goes in. There's definitely elements of it that I just have to kind of laugh at. I think they kind of hit some of that humor that made the kind of the original film so enjoyable. And honestly, for Liam Neeson, I think the fact that you do think of him as such a strong such a strong actor that you don't really think about him kind of playing this type of role, and I think that kind of works in your favor. Because you do think about him as not being a guy that's very funny or humorous, thinking to the Taken films. And I think because of that, it kind of adds a little bit to the humor of it, at least for myself.
Yeah, because because Leslie Nielsen in the original, he kind of takes himself a bit too seriously. So
Yes.
he doesn't really understand. Most of the stuff he does is pretty idiotic. Really.
Yes, and I think that having Liam Neeson do it, I think kind of helps out with, I think, still creating that same type of kind of character. But as I said, some of the stuff and I mean, not every joke landed right in the older films. So I don't want to pretend like there's things out there I made a comment about the potty humor, so to say, is absolutely not being up my alley, and it just feels kind of cheap. But
it's kind of played out, really.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, that's putting it extremely nicely.
I mean that went away with the iPod and and Napster, really.
Yes. So, but seeing some other jokes in there, I have some pleasant optimism for it.
Well, I just thought that scene was funny where all of the younger police officers are in the memorial hall and they're weeping at the older characters, and you get to Nordberg and the officer's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was good. So I'll give them some props. They know how to hit some of those moments well.
But another thing I will say though is that is that the Naked Gun, when you watch the movies, some of the at that time some of the humor seemed to be kind of cheap, really.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you see what Seth MacFarlane's doing, and to your point about the whole potty humor thing, it's kind of on brand, because 30 years ago when you were watching the movie, a lot of people would have said, well, that's pretty low brow.
Absolutely.
So some of the big scenes that come to mind from the classic movie, or I guess I could say the classic movies, is just him just grabbing a woman's breast while he's trying to feel the melons, for instance, or in the Naked Gun 2, when he falls out, he has to escape outside the building. he grabs one of the statues, shall we say, ding dongs. He breaks into a woman's apartment, and the woman thinks she's going to be sexually assaulted. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it was a little cringe at that time. So you kind of have to wonder, how far will Seth MacFarlane go in this iteration? Another thing too, because I have to say with Leslie Nielsen, he played it straight, but you kind of got the sense that he was in on the joke as well, and that's the kind of feeling, same feeling you got with Peter Sellers when he played Jacques Clouseau, because with Clouseau he was being serious and he was being very pompous, but at the same time you kind of have to wonder, is he in on the joke? Whereas Liam Neeson, he's kind of it's basically him playing the character from Taken, but he's just doing more idiotic things than what he would have taken. Really?
Yeah, that's a very good way of describing it. I really like that. That's a good way of describing the character compared to kind of the original run, compared to, I guess, the Liam Neeson version of it.
Well, another thing too is the extremes that it'll go through, because how did you feel about him dressed up as that little schoolgirl, and he's wearing the schoolgirl outfit? I thought, okay, you're kind of pushing it a little bit, buddy.
No, I don't know. I found that to be it was something where something weird's gonna happen, and then obviously him just kind of like taking off the mask, revealing it's him, and then obviously he just like kind of stands up, so to say, like you see the camera move up, and it's like obviously the little girls, there's only so many ways you can hide Liam Neeson. So I don't know. I personally thought that was pretty funny. So I think they. We see all these like, crazy masks, and you think about something like Mission Impossible, right? Where, all these people, have these like, really fancy masks, and they have all this technology to like change the voice and everything. And then here you have Naked Gun, where it's just like, obviously, he can wear a mask, but he can't make a person shorter, right? There's no way to do that. So I think that just adds to the level of goofiness.
Well, speaking of nostalgia, Mel Brooks announced recently that they're going to be doing another Spaceballs 2. So that should be quite interesting when the trailer comes out. Because with the first Spaceballs movie, you kind of get the sense, it was a one and done thing. I mean, it told the story it had to tell, and that was it. There really was nowhere else for it to go.
And think about Mel Brooks is in it. The guy's got to be pushing 100, right? Like
he's pushing Jimmy Carter age at this point.
Yeah, I can't envision. Like I know, and I'm sure he's not gonna have a huge role, right? Like I mean, he didn't have a huge role in the first one either.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say like he only appeared in a few scenes, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's not like he had a huge role to step in, but. It's crazy to think about a guy that's going to be close to 100 is going to be acting in some form, right? Whether it's just like voiceover. I mean, maybe he's not even on the screen, right? Like maybe it's just like some voiceover work that he does. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, but I'll give him props. I mean, the guy's still committed to making movies, and he's still committed to work. And so, I mean, props to that guy.
Yeah. Is he just a little bit older than Clint Eastwood, right?
Well, let's take a look, shall we? Because last time I checked, I mean, he was getting pretty close to like I said, he's 99 years old, so yeah, he's getting close to Jimmy Carter age right at this point.
Okay, yeah, and I know Eastwood was born in 1930 because he was the same age as my grandpa, so I always remember.
Oddly enough. Today is his birthday, so Mel Brooks, happy birthday to you, sir. Happy 99.
How about that?
Totally, we totally didn't plan it. I was just thinking about Spaceballs 2 as we were watching that trailer. So, so Mel Brooks, wherever you are, happy birthday, and may the Schwartz be with you. But other than that, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Back here, Frank. It's a boy. I know.